Perfect. So thank you very much, everyone. Well, as you know, I'm Alberto Garcia. I'm a teacher in the Polytechnic Master University of Madrid. And we have today the great pleasure to have Araceli Venegas with us. That for me is a very incredible professional because he's one of the first that is taking into account how the talent can be introduced into the quantum ecosystem. So, well, thank you very much, Araceli, for being here. Just one more thing for the audience, and please make the questions in the chat. And at the end of the presentation of Araceli, we will do an open questions meeting, and everyone could and Araceli will answer them. Thank you very much, Araceli, to be here, and that's all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alberto. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me know, I guess, should be okay.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Great. So again, thanks a lot for inviting me. And I wanted to give you all these kind of overviews that anyone who wants to go into quantum and would like to know who is doing what should I care about, and all the workforce and career opportunities. I kind of package everything in this presentation. So I really put a lot in here. And normally I don't put the summary slide anymore, but I just wanted to tell you, this is all what I'm going to talk about. So if you think that, that I'm talking too much about something and I should speed up or anything, because I can really talk for a long time, just let me know. And well, I hope that you enjoy. So the first thing that I want to do today is I'm going to talk about my career path. Why? Because I think in this master, and in general now in quantum, a lot of people are really coming from everywhere. People are coming from a specific degree or from a completely different career path, and they are just moving, they are doing this pivot move into quantum. And I think that's very important. I want to show you my example, my career path as an example, but I want to also show you that anything is possible. And I hope that, I would like that at the end you have a little bit more thoughts about your career. And if you have any questions that I'm not answering today, just drop me an email and I hope that I can help with that. And then, yes, I want to show you the ecosystem, what we are doing at QURECA, what everybody's talking about, skills and the workforce, and a little bit what we offer in terms of resources, and a little bit getting ready for you if you're looking for a job in quantum. So let's start. So I wanted to show this because the master is organized by the Polytechnic de Madrid, and I studied there. So long time ago, I was doing aerospace engineering. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here, because it's like, something from my past, and now I'm doing something from completely different, as you see, from different field. But yeah, making the story very short, I ended up studying aerospace engineering in Madrid. Then I actually took a lot of international opportunities. And I think, okay, let's remove the pandemic from our world. But if there's no pandemic, people are really used to move around. It's like kind of normal. And I think in this master, there are people from all over the world. But at that time, when I was doing my degree, it was not so common. So yeah, you could do Erasmus, but I think in my, in a circle of people that I knew from my city or from the studies, there were not so many people going abroad. But I just took these opportunities, and I could say, well, you can just take all opportunities in front of you. I wouldn't say that, but just at least be aware what are the opportunities that are in front of you, because I think sometimes people are not moving forward because they just don't know what the options are. But well, I was in different countries doing different things, and I ended up in Germany. And I lived in Germany for several years, and I worked for Airbus, both in Germany and in France. And here you have kind of the different roles that I took. Without going into details, I don't want to bother you about, but yes, I work with cool helicopters like the one you see here. Well, I kind of started from small field, and then I kind of wanted to understand the overview of how this big company worked. And now that I look back, I realized that actually what I was doing, the career path that I was doing inside the company at that time, actually is very similar to what I'm doing now in quantum. So they are kind of really, they are links that I could say, yeah, there are similarities here. But what is important is that during this time, I realized what I liked and what I was good at, which is not easy. It's not easy at all. But I just want to mention this because sometimes I'm going to tell you a lot of kind of anecdotes during the talk, but some people are coming to me with a completely different field. Like imagine people that have been doing experimental science for a lot of years, and they're coming and say, I would like to do software. And it's like, yes, you can do that, but why? And sometimes there is no answer for that why. So I think that thinking about why you want to do something is really, really important. And even more important is, do you enjoy that you want to do? But I'm going to talk about this later a lot. Anyway, during that time, because it was not enough for me to work full-time at Airbus, I learned physics. I did a master in medical physics, and I started to learn quantum mechanics. And you see the link was with magnetic resonance imaging. So yeah, not much free time after all that, but there was a point that I kind of look at my career and I said, what do I enjoy? And really the answer at that point, I want to study quantum. I just want to sit down and learn more about this. Hilbert spaces, I had no idea what that was. I wanted to learn more about that. That was my answer. But in order to do that, well, I had to change my career completely. Well, I could have that opportunity after years. So it was not like, I want to change career and in 6 months. No, it took really long time. But the chance came and I moved to Glasgow, where I am still. And I did 1 year master's and then a PhD in quantum optics. For all of you that are a little bit more in the field, my PhD was in quantum simulation, really similar to kind of an analog version of a quantum computer, and with cold atoms experiments where we study kind of spin systems and different kind of fundamental physics there. Really cool, but that's another talk. But yeah, so that's how I changed my life. And during that time, I wanted to learn more about the ecosystem. That at that point in time, it was not much that research, right? I was going to a conference, I was presenting my poster, I was presenting my research, and then I was doing a lot of outreach. But there was also coming this new ecosystem where people were talking about quantum technologies. And this is what I'm going to talk about now. But the next step in my career, let's keep it for later. So my first question for you is, do you have a career plan? You don't need to answer now, but the important thing is that you have small goals. It's not like, I want to be a billionaire. That's a very nice goal in the future. But if you could answer really, what do you want to do next in short time frames? 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And not only because sometimes you get asked this in English, because this is the way that you can steer what you are doing. If you have these small goals into your career path, just think about them. So I was mentioning a lot this ecosystem, and during all this time that I was in academia, I was kind of looking at this ecosystem for quantum, and I was saying, okay, we have the academic, we have the fundamental science, the researchers, then we have the industry, the people who are supposed to use these new technologies that are coming from academia, also the new industry that is coming out of academia, the startups and so on. We have the government, the people putting the money into the science, but we also have the general public, because there was quantum everywhere in all the news. That's how I started my Twitter and my blog and all these things, because it was just everywhere. Suddenly people started to talk about quantum everywhere, but it's so important that we understand what that means. What is different from this ecosystem here with another emerging technology? You could answer absolutely nothing. We have this for AI, we have this for blockchain. Well, when we talk about quantum, obviously, we are talking about quantum mechanics and quantum in general. And it's a word that I think people love it. I really love it. But really, there are two connotations. People hear quantum and either say that's really cool, or oh no, that's too difficult. Or even they could say something like, I have something to do with black holes, right? That's the thing. It's not something that you hear yourself every day in your day-by-day life, but even so, we know that quantum technology is already there. We have quantum technology in all the things that we use. We have computer spaces with transistors that are based on quantum technology. All this that you see here is based on quantum technology from obviously the last century, but here the main characteristic is that everything is based on a lot of particles, right? If you think about a laser, you have a lot of photons. If you think about a transistor, we are talking about a lot of electrons. So when we are now talking about these new quantum technologies as emerging ecosystem, what is all this fast? And well, you are all studying the masters, so you know these, but I guess there are people that might ask themselves this question: why is people talking about quantum technology so much? Well, this is what we are now talking about, the second quantum revolution, or the quantum 2.0, very fancy names. But it's the fact that from all these particles that researchers could do a lot of things with all these particles, in the last decades, researchers could actually take one particle and do things with that. So if you, instead of a lot of photons, you take one photon. Instead of a lot of electrons, a lot of atoms, you take one. And you control that, then you are able to create technology that is based on that control. And that's all what quantum technologies is all about. And yes, we know that the future is quantum. The present is also quantum. Well, the past was also quantum, but technology in terms of this new technology 2.0 is really about the future. And most of people talk about quantum computing. You hear this every day, hardware and software, but we know that we have quantum communication, we have simulation and imaging, we have sensors, we have different technology, and each of these technology has a different roadmap. That's why, even though we know that the future is quantum, because once we have quantum computers in the future, we say that that will be quantum everywhere. We also have sensors that are already available, and quantum is already here now. When we think about how to develop a new device, a new technology, everything follows this process. This is done inside any company. So if you now or in the future, if you work inside a company developing something, everything starts with an idea, or you identify what you want to do. Then you put money on it or resources on it. You need people to work on that. And then you develop your device, your algorithm, whatever. And then, well, hopefully you can make money out of it. This is really the process. Where are we with quantum technologies? To be honest, we are a lot still in funding basic science overall. Of course, I'm not going to go into details. We know that a lot of companies are very advanced, that there is a lot of money in other pockets, but in general, there are still a lot of grants for basic science. That they are going to be developing. The commercialization part of the technology is still in the early stages. And one thing that I mentioned is I wanted to show you how this quantum ecosystem was born. And the first thing is we know all these national initiatives, and I'm going to talk about them now. But first, it was in Canada and in Singapore where centers for quantum technologies, basic science, were developed, were built long time ago. We are talking about more than 10 years ago. So they were actually the first one. They identified this opportunity. Let's put money on science for quantum technologies, this fundamental science, that let's see what is going to happen. And that's how all of what you know in Waterloo started, or the CQT in Singapore. So they were really the first one. But then what happened was really that UK launched the National Quantum Program in 2013, 2014. That it was the first phase, and there was another phase. So the total now is more than £1 billion. But it was the first time that the nation said, I'm going to put public money into quantum technologies. And I was like, there is something here there is an opportunity that is clearly identified. I don't want to lose the opportunity to be part of this new emerging ecosystem that is going to bring me, hopefully, something in the future. What happened then is, let's put money. And then there was the European flagship launch in 2018. And the same year, we have the National Quantum Initiative from US. And everything is always around 1 billion. different currencies in dollars, in euros, but it's kind of the nice number. And then we have China. How many billions has China spent on quantum technologies? I have no idea. I have tried, we have tried, I talked to a lot of people. There's no consensus on the actual number, but we know that there is a lot. And that's very, very important to know because, yeah, if you put a lot of money on it, it doesn't mean that you are going to be the first one developing something, but it means that you clearly know that there is an opportunity there. And since 2018, a lot of countries decided to put money on quantum technologies. Again, this is all public money. This is funding from the government to put it only in quantum technologies. Different kind of programs, different orders of magnitude on the money, but everywhere. That's what is really interesting here. It's not a race that everybody's saying is US against China. It's really everywhere. And I think the only way that this can work is that there is a lot of money everywhere. Let's try to work together. Yeah, that sounds very utopic, but really, from what I see, that's probably the way that the things are going to move forward. So this is now 2 years ago, and this is the last pictures from last year. And we are working on the last update. We will have a little bit more money from some specific countries. But yeah, let's put around, let's say, $23, $24 billion in quantum technologies. That's a lot. And that's clearly something to think about. And that's why we are all here. So there is something clearly important there. One message, as you see, there are some continents that are quite gray. And it's not because there's nothing quantum there. There are different research groups. There are people working on algorithms. There are different things. But again, from public money, that's another question. And I'm mentioning these because one of the things that we are trying to do is really to kind of boost the ecosystems in these countries. And I will mention these later on. But yeah, that's one of the things that we consider that there should be done from the overall ecosystem. Okay, so we are here at the moment with around $25 billion public money. Good. Now the question is, and private money? I don't even bother to show you this the slides on how the private investment are done, because I think it's kind of madness right now. But what I can show you is how many companies, or what is the distribution of companies, startups. So these are only quantum startups, no end users, no big companies working in quantum, but startups, how they distribute along all the different continents. And here, I'm glad to say there are no countries or no continents in gray, which is absolutely amazing. It means that everywhere around the world, there are startups. There are people actually developing ideas to move forward the quantum ecosystem. And I think that's it's a huge hope for anyone, because then you can say, well, I want to be part of quantum, but I live, I don't know, in a specific country. Do I need to move to US? And the answer sometimes is no. And that's why I think this is a very important message here, is to show you the distribution of companies per country. So this is the percentage. How many countries have at least one quantum startup? There are lots everywhere. And as you know, because of the pandemic, some companies, and I say some, offer the possibility to work remotely. Not everyone. And of course, if you are developing something in the lab, I'm sorry, but you need to be in the lab. But there are opportunities. But this is, again, it's an emerging ecosystem, which means that in the years to come, probably you will have more opportunities to work remotely or to work in a country that maybe you will never imagine that you could work in quantum technologies, but there will be opportunities. So again, yes, US, UK, Canada are the places where you have the largest number of companies, but there are other countries where you have emerging opportunities as well. Another nice plot for you to think about is the distribution depending on the technology or the sector where where they work in quantum technologies, because remember, it's not all quantum computing. There are different technologies, and this means that there are different sectors where you could work. It's true that there is a lot on quantum computing. There is the full stack, there is the hardware, there is the software. Now we have the API. There are different kind of quantum computing companies, but you also have imaging, you have quantum communications, you have consulting companies, and last but not least, you have enabling technologies. And this is very important because I realized that there are a lot of people that come out of a master's or a PhD, very specific in quantum. And they're like, yeah, I want a job in quantum. And they go to quantum technology, something with a Q probably. But there are so many other companies that are doing things that are part of this supply chain. Lasers, cryogenics, vacuum systems. I was just yesterday in a workshop with companies that have nothing to do by themselves with quantum, but they are developing things that kind of they plug into this supply chain. So there are really a lot of opportunities if you have the skills needed for that, which is the next thing that I will mention. So I hope that this kind of overview give you an idea of the market. And I'm sure that you know big names, but I just wanted to show you some more of these companies that we were mentioning. So this is a landscape, a European landscape, not exhaustive. So there are many more companies, and companies have changed name, have merged. There is always movement, but just to give you an idea of some of the opportunities out there. And if you want to know a little bit more about any of them, again, you can always come and ask me. So from quantum computing, again, we have companies that kind of offer the end-to-end. They have hardware and they have software, they have cloud services. This is becoming really like, I don't want to say race, but really there are different solutions where you could try to work, or if you are developing algorithms, sometimes like, what kind of hardware? Oh no, what I'm doing is hardware agnostic. I don't care. So there are really companies that offer you this possibility to say, we offer you the access to different hardware, but we want you that you pay us to give to have that access. There are others that, no, I have my own hardware, and if you work with me, so it's really different kind of business models. But well, very interesting how this is developing. And of course, we know not all the quantum computing platforms are the same. And if we think about the hardware providers that where they focus on the hardware side, we have ion traps, we have superconducting circuits, we have photonics, we have silicon. The big question, who in terms of platform, not in terms of company, is going to be the winner? Clearly, in terms of software, just some examples of companies that are developing algorithms. Some, they really focus on specific business sector. Some others, they kind of offer a solution that can be applied to different business sectors. So if you are on the software side of things, remember, you have a lot of opportunities. It's really that your skills can be exactly what the companies are looking for. And then on quantum communication and cybersecurity, we have hardware providers, but we also have software providers. I think this is a lot of people forget that we also need to think about algorithms for this post-quantum world. And there are companies focusing on that, and probably the solutions are going to be much needed in very near term than some other companies that are doing things that maybe we will need more years. But yeah, just again, some names for you to think of opportunities if you're looking for jobs in the short-term frame. And then for sensing, again, I have the feeling that some people don't think the opportunities with quantum sensing. There are companies in very different countries with different solutions. Sometimes they focus on a specific platform, but some others, they focus on the solution. So yeah, just have a look at what is out there, or think about what you would enjoy doing. Okay, So I gave you a little bit of my background about my career, a little bit of the ecosystem. Now, how do we put the things together? Why I'm here, why I'm talking to you, what happened to me? So I was mentioning this ecosystem where quantum technologies was kind of emerging, and I was realizing that quantum is something that not everyone understands. It's like we kind of need a language that all these stakeholders can really understand why we are talking about all these. And well, yeah, we can say that there was a gap that it was identified. That was kind of my opportunity identification. There is a clear gap between these stakeholders. They need to speak the same language. So what I try to do is putting resources and putting my time to understand how I can offer a solution for those kind of issues that I was identifying. And that's how QURECA, Quantum Resources and Careers, was born in 2019. So yeah, I became a founder and CEO that I never thought of, but that's how things move, and you never know. And that's really my message here. You never know what is going to happen. And I was doing my PhD. I really enjoyed what I was doing, but yeah, somehow the things took that shape. And it's important for you that you think, well, yeah, what do you think that could be the next step for you? So QURECA means Quantum Resources and Careers, and we really have the same goals, objectives since the very beginning: to create a common language, to make everyone ready for quantum, and at the end to create value. Because if you remember from this change, at the end, you're putting a lot of money on a lot of resources. You want to have value. You want to have an impact of whatever you're doing. How can we do this in this whole ecosystem? Well, we offer different kind of services. We work with quantum companies where we work with them in business development, so a little bit how we support them on growing the business, depends on where they are. We work with big companies that need to think about their strategy to be part of quantum. And then we really focus a lot on skills and the workforce and careers. That's why I'm talking here today. And we offer for that training and resourcing. What we want is really to kind of be the place where we offer all the different resources. And if you're looking for something to build your career path in quantum, we are able to provide those resources. We want to build this new quantum workforce. And in order to do this, we provide training and we provide resourcing. It means that if you are a person looking for a specific job, we try to find a job for you. But we also work with companies that they are looking for specific skills, and we try to find those skills, those candidates for them. And at the same time, we provide different training because, of course, not everyone is quantum ready now. So sometimes we need to upskill the specific resources, the specific individuals or companies to be at the level that they want to be. And the quantum workforce is something that in the last, I would say, year and a half or so, everybody's talking about. So when the company was created, and I was focusing on careers and skills, there was not much, because people were always thinking that's coming in the future. That's, now we are putting the money. So if you remember from the funding in 2018, 2019, everything was really about the funding, about the national programs, about how all that was really taking shape. But then people started to identify where those gaps were in the whole ecosystem, and the workforce was one. And people started to put in the media that there is talent shortage, that there is a bottleneck. People are starting to think about, depends on how the market is going to grow, the job market is going to grow. So that's what we actually did. So we tried to identify what was the best market forecast. And this is a little bit outdated, to be honest, because it's changing so much. And you know that with all these companies going public and private funding in the last months, this probably has been exponentially growing. But what is important is that from the last market forecast, we try to identify we try to estimate how the job market was going to be. And that's how we estimated this exponential growth in the next 20 years. This means that now, we grow steadily. Every year we have more and more job openings. But really the important thing is that in 10, 20 years, is when we will have so many job openings, because once we have really quantum not anymore as an emerging technology, but as a consolidated technology, then there are a lot of jobs and people will need to fill those jobs. So there are two messages here. One is there are a lot of jobs now. So right now, there are a lot of jobs. Whether the people or the candidates are ready to fit in those jobs, that's another question. But the important message is that in the future, in the 10, 20 years, we need to have the workforce ready. And for that, we need education. That's why also another important topic, and Alberto knows this very well, is the education in quantum technologies. Is not only the education of the workforce now, but the people that are coming in the next 10 to 20 years. And actually, we just made an exercise last week to think how far we were of this estimation, and we are not so far, which is good. It's good to know that so far we are on trend. So let's see how the next decades show. So in terms of education, if you think about the different levels of education, a lot of people, and I don't know from all of you guys where you are joining from, but in the US, like there was a big workshop with the government, and they are really pushing education in the US, and they are thinking about how to put quantum into high schools. Yes, there is some things that we can do, but globally, in the whole world, if we think about primary school, high school, the only way that quantum can reach this audience is really if we do outreach. It's really if we explain in a way that is very easy for them to understand, that they see a potential career path in the future. We can explain what a qubit is. We can give some exercises working with specific quantum computing hardware and so on. But we need to be really careful in the way we are putting that. And if we think about classical computer science, it took really a lot of years. So we need also to think about how the strategy for these education levels is going to be. Then another question is not only about the pupils, the students, it's about the teachers. Because if you are going to school and the teacher is the first one that is going to look at you like, what? So you really need to, I see a question from Arun Kumar. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. No, but I mean, Arun, if you want to speak, you can. I mean, Araceli wants to speak.
No. I just checked my microphone. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So I continue. So we need to think about the involvement of teachers. We need to be sure that the teachers understand the basics of quantum computing. And I think this is something that I've been discussing this in different platforms, and there are different ideas, but it's really about how we can involve the teachers to then have these small workshops, hands-on workshops with the students. And then of course we have undergraduates and masters. The question is, are we always talking about the physics undergraduate? And probably right now, you know that not anymore. We are talking about any kind of undergraduate that can be upskilled by having some quantum into it. Electrical engineering, mathematics, even finance. Sometimes you just need to know a little bit that quantum exists, and then you're able to think about your career in that direction. Then of course there are specific masters, like the one from the UPM, where we are discussing here today. And there are then different doctoral programs at different levels all over the world. What we are doing at QURECA is really trying to think about this layer of people that are already graduated, that they have already experienced somewhere, but they need to kind of have this extra layer of quantum that right now is not available, to make them ready to get a job into the quantum industry. But I guess the question that you all will be asking, yeah, we are talking about the job market, but are they really hiring right now? Yes. And if you have a look at LinkedIn, it's just everywhere. The companies are hiring. Again, the question is, can you get that job right now in quantum? That's another question. And it's really so personal, so specific from one individual to another. That's why we provide this career advice. So this is actually, it's a free service, but we really talk one by one to people who are looking for specific careers to see whether they need additional training, they need to know really about how their skills can fit into that. So we're always talking about skills. But another question that you can ask me is, okay, what are these companies? You mentioned some companies before, but are all the companies that you mentioned hiring? Yes, here you have some of them. These companies are hiring and many others. So yes, there are opportunities, again, in different fields. And remember these enabling technologies as well. So there are opportunities. Whether right now in, I don't know, New Quantum, there is enough a job that kind of fits directly your skills. That's a completely different question. And I'm saying this a lot, but sometimes people are saying, well, I have my master or my PhD, now I can look for a job. And then they go to the different job openings and it's like, oh, but it's not actually what I was thinking that they were looking for, because the job market really moves fast. But what are the activities that the companies are doing? Because we thought first about the sectors. So it's very similar, but I think again, what are the different kind of companies that when I thinking about applying for a job, what do I want to do? I can work in sensors, in quantum communication, which includes cryptography, cybersecurity, and so on. I could work on quantum computing hardware. I could work on algorithms and applications, or a company that has the end-to-end solution, or on these facilitating technologies. There are these kind of different activities that companies are doing. Where can you apply your skills? And what are your skills? Let's think about skills now. So across quantum industry, there are skills that you see a lot repeating themselves. Again, it really depends on the company, but a lot of skills are really coding skills. So Python is, I think, probably is the grail of the skills in quantum. You know, Python is really a must nowadays. Sometimes they look for more electronics engineer with experience in industry. Sometimes they look for someone coming from really optics and photonics, maybe not directly in quantum, but that you can work in something that you can transfer. But what is interesting here is that most of the skills are not pure physicists. It's not about a person that has been studying fundamental physics. It's more about a person that maybe has come from engineering or chemistry and then has been learning to code. And with that package, so if a person is coming from chemistry, then adds a little bit of education in quantum and then experience in coding, you have a perfect package that you could plug in, that it could fit to a specific job profile. So it's really about thinking, what is the skills package that you have? Can that be used right now in the industry? And if not, what are the skills that you can learn? And everything that we are talking about here is really quantum engineering. So whatever these jobs that are now, or the jobs that are going to be in 20 years, I think they are all at the end going to be called quantum engineers some way or the other. And very, very important is the soft skills. It's not only the technical knowledge, it's really about able to work in a team. If you are doing a PhD, or if you have been doing research, you can show that. But if you have been doing an internship somewhere, if you can prove that you have been doing, you don't need an MBA, but maybe some information, some background that you understand business. That's so important. And communication. If you can show that you have been doing some outreach activities, that you have been presenting projects, or those are really, really important. Because, and I always say this, if I get two CVs, two people with a master's or a PhD, publications, very nice, the only thing that is going to stand out from one to the other is this additional soft skills, is the additional experience that that person can bring onto the table. Because from the technical background, it could be quite similar. So think about developing these soft skills. And here is some very keywords that you can always try to put in your CV or that you can use in your future job. But yeah, it's like coach is a big word now, but team spirit and self-promotion. You can always in the interviews ask how can I what could be the promotion for me in this job, because it shows one that you are aware that you are self-confident to say, I think that I can grow within the business, but also that you want to show that you are able to show this growth to your employer. So all these things are very, very important. Negotiation, I always realize how important is that, and I see over and over again different kind of trainings and different kind of packages of people telling how to negotiate your salary and things like that. So they are very important things, and it's better that you think about this in advance and not stress management when you are almost burned out. And another important thing, more and more important in the last 6 months to 1 year, is that there are not only technical positions, there are more and more positions where they are looking for someone that is not going to have a technical role, but has a technical background. Someone with a master's like you're doing, but maybe interested in doing sales because you worked before in sales, or because you would enjoy working sales. And I'm going to show you some examples later. I'm going to just check the time. Okay. So I guess the question then is, where can you start, right? So what will be the next goal for you? You remember, I was always mentioning that you need these kind of small goals. So I'm going to ask you then, where do you want to go? What will be this end goal? And then we can go step by step how to achieve that goal. So the first starting point is you sit back and think about who you are. What are your studies and what is your experience? And how can you put that into your resume? It's nice, sometimes I have seen these, people are coming and say, masters in whatever. And when I'm talking to them, I say, can you tell me more? I don't even see the field of your study, the field of your thesis. I don't even, like, I see your CV and I don't know if you have done theory or experiments. It's not there. You need to show that. And that will always go to skills, because then if I go to skills and I see software, that everything is about software, then I understand. But if you just say, I have a master's in whatever, or bachelor's in electronic engineering, and nothing at all related to quantum or to some skills that can be matching to quantum, I ask myself, this person, how can this person look for a job in quantum? I don't see any similarities to anything that people are asking for. Or another example, somebody with a degree in mines engineering and a lot of expertise in that, but there was absolutely no skills that you could say that could be used for a quantum job. So it's really, again, think about how your package can be shaped into what the industry is looking for. And some of those skills here, and just to help you think about it, are, I'm sure you have numerical skills. Otherwise, you wouldn't be thinking about quantum. You probably know whether you are good communicating, or you like communicate, or if you're organized and you like to be organized, or you prefer to, to do something very, very specific, technical. Answer questions. So the next goal is, what is next? Do you think then, once you see your picture, do you think that you need to gain more skills? Do you think that you need more training, or you think that you are ready and you want to try and get a role in industry right away? Once you understand what will be next, either learning or looking for a job, then you move forward. Or you can ask us. That's what a lot of people are doing. Every week we receive, I don't know how many CVs, or people just reaching out. Where can I find educational resources? Where can I find internships, where can I find masters. We have the list of all masters in quantum in our website. Of course, the one from the UPM is there. So a lot of people are coming with those questions, and we try to provide the answers and the resources for that. Then is once you know what you have to do, you need to create the plan to achieve that. If you are looking for a PhD, what kind of PhD you think that you're looking for? Another example, the other day I was talking to someone, and this person said, yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe a PhD, maybe a role in the industry. And I'm like, what kind of PhD? To be honest, I really wanted to work in superconducting circuits. And I said, that's it. You answer. It was so clear for that person that he wanted to do a PhD in superconducting circuits. So it's really, sometimes it's just 5 minutes of your time thinking about that, or just writing, it's a matrix, visible matrix. What do I want to do? Where do I want to live? Is money important right now? Or should I think more about training and doing a PhD, an internship, and have more skill, so gain more knowledge before moving into industry? Only you can answer that. And yeah, and if all kind of moves smoothly, then you can achieve your goal. And if I look back, for me to go and do a PhD in quantum, that was my goal. It took several years, but yeah, at the end, I'm sure that you can achieve your goal. So a little bit more again about all these resources that I mentioned before. This is our website, and on training, you will know more about what we offer in training. You have access to our online courses. On services, you have more information about different services. One of them is a fellowship program that we are launching, where we want fellows to be placed into a specific projects in industry. Then we have, as I mentioned, the list of all masters and educational resources. We have a blog with different news. If you have questions, just contact us. A little bit more in detail, we have online courses. We have different workshops and packages that we offer. Alberto, do you have a question, or anyone has a question?
Yeah, there are one question at least, and I think probably with this excellent presentation there will be more questions, but I thought you were finishing, Araceli. Just finish, and then we
Okay, no
we
problem.
open the discussion.
Okay. No, I just wanted to show a little bit more in detail that we have I think it's next. So the online courses that we have right now, we are all CPD certified. So anyone that is doing any of our courses get credits. That is continuous professional development credits. So this goes to the skills that you can add into your CV or your LinkedIn profile. We have a general course. We have 2 courses into the finance kind of business sector, where we want people who want to learn more about finance and people from finance that want to learn more about quantum algorithms. We have that educational series, and we just launched one course with Zapata Computing. If you know, they are a very big software and algorithms company, and if you want to know more about what they are doing, you can also see that in our platform. And some of these courses have discount available for students, so again, you can reach out to me. We also have an events calendar where we put all the things going on in quantum, or we try to. So you just need to register for free in our website, and you have access to see what is going on. Most of the things are in virtual, so that's good to know. Yeah, so the important things are the events coming up. We have our next careers fair the 3rd of March. And because I'm talking about careers, and I know that some of you will probably look for jobs in the near term, please send me a message, an email, and I will send you the link to register, because the idea is that we will have companies, quantum companies from all over the world, and they will present what they are looking for when they are hiring. You can sit down with them and you can ask questions. So it's not an interview, it's really to learn more about these companies, to learn more about what are the job offerings, and you can even send your CV directly. So it's a nice opportunity. And then I mentioned before that those gray spots in the map, so where we want to really build this quantum ecosystem. So we have Quantum Eastern Europe in May. So if you are from Eastern Europe, or you would like to know more about the quantum ecosystem there, let us know. And the same with Quantum Latino. It's the second edition. So I hope that, Alberto, this year you can join us in Quantum Latino, because also Spanish are invited. And it's mainly English, but we'll have Spanish and Portuguese as well. And we want that it worked quite well last year. So we hope that it will be the same this year. So I just wanted to mention these events. And I think, I know, I put this, do I have time? Can I have like 15? Because I think this is very important for people looking for jobs. So I added this in case that there was some time. Okay, so if you say yes, I go for it.
Yeah, you have at least 35 minutes, Araceli. So
okay, good.
please go ahead.
So I want, because I talk about a lot of things, but here it's about careers, and you might be looking for jobs. So I wanted to get into the meat if there was the possibility. So again, this is what I mentioned before, but think about, assess yourself, what could be put in your CV. One thing that I always say is you need to be able to have a summary of who you are. You're able in 2 sentences to explain who you are, and that will be kind of the icebreaker for any interview. Then think about the different, you can just dream and write down what are the different jobs that you will think that you would be interested in. And then you can just apply to have some kind of test and pilot interviews. You are free. You can just test the market as well. And once you know what is out there, and you have a little bit more idea of maybe what kind of company you are interested in, then you can have this career plan. So some tips about your CV, because these I see every week. Really, at the top of your CV, write this summary, these 2 or 3 sentences about who you are. I'm an electronics engineer with experience in experience working in PCBs. That is looking for an opportunity to put my skills into an emerging ecosystem like quantum, something that sounds really cool. That summary at the top. Then your experience, always the last thing that you did at the top. Then you go back in time. Then your education, and never forget the skills, because sometimes companies, they just go, okay, what are the skills? Yes, no, that's it. And if possible, maximum 2 pages. I see some people with CVs of 8 pages. No. And if you have a lot of publications, you just put at the end of your CV, for a list of publications, either you put a link or you just say list of publications available. And if someone wants to know your publications, they will ask. If you're looking for a role in industry, that's what you put. If you're looking for a role in academia, you put all your publications, your posters, everything that you have done. Yeah, so you need a LinkedIn profile. And if you can ask people to endorse you, of course, don't ask your family or all the people that are in your class. It's really important that you can show the people that can actually have actually let's say power to show that have been working with you, and that there is the endorsement means something. That's where you put endorse. So it's better to have 2 endorsements that are really of value than having 20 and being the same person endorsing you 20 times. Yeah, so I guess this is going to be available anyway, so people can read it later on. So then this is something that I did last year, and I hope that I think Rafa told me that it was really good, so I wanted to do it this year again. So I have 4 examples of 4 roles that are right now open. I tried to hide the name of the company, so maybe sometimes it appears somewhere, but I just want to show you some of the roles that are right now open in quantum. So the responsibilities and the profile. So I put some things in red, and actually it's like I put it in red just like to show that it's some things that kind of could be important to mention. So here, application scientist in quantum technologies. For me, if I read that, I will think that they want someone very technical doing something very technical. But now if you go into detail, yes, you will work with a team of scientists and software developers. But the main role, so because I have the thing from Zoom at the top, no, okay, I was mixing with the other title. I couldn't see the title. Yes. So this is a very technical role, and this is about software and algorithms. So here they are looking for someone that is going to work with algorithms. But look at your main role. It's going to be discovering new algorithms, inventing key intellectual property, and publishing scientific papers in prestigious journals. For me, this is important to show it here because it's an academic role somehow. It's for people who are very academic, the skills that they have, what they like to do is pure research. This kind of job is kind of perfect because you're still going to do something very, very similar to what you're used to do if you're coming from PhDs, from postdocs, from academia in general. But what is important is that you are going to work in problems with a real world impact. And this is what is different from whatever job in academia you have now. Sometimes now in academia, you're also working with customers that are like industrial customers, but in general, you are focused more fundamental science. You will find they are with a PhD in quantum computing or equivalent practical experience. Again, that means that if you have a master's, but you can show that you have been working in algorithms, probably not so many people right now with a master's and then a lot of experience in quantum algorithms, to be honest. But this is something to keep in mind. If you don't want to do a PhD, then if you are interested in this kind of role, probably you need to think about how to enhance your skills in algorithms. Here they are asking for someone with a strong track record of research accomplishments in algorithms. So probably they still want a PhD. And I'm saying this because I need to be careful with the number I'm going to say now. Let's go with 75 to 80% of the job openings at the moment, they still ask for PhDs. If you can demonstrate that with a PhD, you have the other bullet points in your CV, then it's fine. But in general, it's really about showing that track record that you show that you can prove that you have the skills for that. And then because here we are talking about a software job, of course, Python, quantum software libraries, and then ability to manage individual project priorities. And you will say, yeah, that's okay. That's not so easy. A lot of people are not used to manage project priorities. And this I see every day. And it's really important that if you are thinking about these jobs, that if you're doing research, you are doing your thesis in your master's, you are kind of independent doing that, but it's not the same as being able to manage priorities. So think about how strong you could answer if they are asking you whether you are able to do this or not. Okay, the second example that I have, that's what sorry. So I changed the names because I had a problem with the computer. And okay, so yeah, the first one was the quantum algorithms. Okay, I would change this when I share with you the slides if you want. So the first one was the algorithms, and the second one is the application scientist in quantum technologies. And that's why when I thought about that, I thought that it was really a technical role, but actually they are looking for someone that is going to establish customer contacts, that is going to represent the company at trade shows, produce materials such as product documentation, website, content, blog posts. That has nothing to do with a technical role. Well, I don't know how many of you would enjoy doing these kind of jobs, but I think my message here is that these kind of jobs are existing right now. But look at this, they are asking for someone with a PhD. And probably I would go to this company and say that you don't need a PhD to do this. If you are able, again, to show that you have background in quantum technologies and you have a skill set that can be proven for this. And then sales experience. How many PhDs in physics with relevant background in quantum technologies have sales experience? Probably we can count with the fingers in our hands. So it's sometimes very, very hard to find the candidates, as you can imagine, in our role as recruiters, because sometimes it's very, very hard to find someone that can actually have all these requisites in the job. What do I have? I have atomic physicists. So this will be, of course, it sounds very technical. So this will be for someone to work in and lead R&D projects. So you need to demonstrate that you can be a leader. Again, not so easy, because one thing is that somebody's telling you what to do, but the other thing is contribute to project direction, being able to direct others. That's very, very hard. And you need to demonstrate that you had that experience. So here they ask for a PhD in atomic physics, working knowledge of a lot of things, and 2 or 3 years of postdoc experience inclusive of research fellowships. So again, I think it's quite hard, but what I think it's hard for the candidate to demonstrate this leadership. So again, if you can do anything that you can show your leadership skills, that would be much appreciated. And I think I have one more. Yeah, junior software engineer backend. So again, this is a very technical here. Someone that is a contributor to the meetings and daily Scrum planning. This is a lot of project management, and this is something that probably you haven't heard of. So sometimes they want someone that, again, has the experience in managing projects, maybe working in industry for several years, that has maybe a master's in quantum, and that kind of package will be very attractive, but it's not so easy to find these people at the moment. Again, because we are in an emerging market. So they are looking for someone with 1 or 2 years of software experience. Again, Python, so please learn Python. Here they just said you have a bachelor's degree, which is really good. It means that here they value more the experience. But now look at this. I really love when I found these. Very important. You have full work rights in our country. I didn't say the country here, but this is so important because I find I have people applying for jobs when I clearly said, no, this job is in the US or in the UK or Europe. And yeah, I have excellent people coming from another country, but they can just not work in that country because either the project cannot be for people from outside the country, or the company cannot sponsor visa at all. So sometimes it's hard just because of these political reasons. Look at the last 2 points. You are humble enough to bend to the will of the frameworks. I thought that was really cool. Not every day you find a job profile when someone is asking you, are you humble? And the last one, you make mistakes sometimes. I think it's very honest. It's like, you know, you're going to do a lot of things, but if you don't do the things perfect, it's going to be okay. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this because I thought it was a cool exercise for you to have some idea. And I think now, yes. Okay, now I'm going to conclude the presentation. I just want to wish you success ahead, and I'm sure that it's going to be okay. It's probably not a straight road, but yeah, all the best, and you know where to find me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Araceli. I couldn't attend last week, but I saw recorded your session and are always very, very great because you go to the point, really taking into account what the people wants to see. I mean, that's perfect. Now here we have 2 questions from the chat, and then of course we can make an open discussion for anyone who wants, as we have more 20 more minutes. So the first question is from Robert Cruz, and he's saying there are jobs, and the issue I have seen is that they are looking for PhD in some higher science subject. What if you are a Python Jupyter expert and understand implementation of the algorithm, let's say in Qiskit, and where does the regular techie fit?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I wanted to show this. Yeah. I see a lot of people every week, and I think Alberto knows this. A lot of people saying, I'm a computer science. I'm just going to say a general profile. I'm a computer scientist, and I have been playing with Qiskit in the last 6 months. Would that be enough for you to find a job somewhere? Probably not, because what people want to see is that you have track record of building algorithms. So I'm going to give you a specific example of one job opening right now. They want someone with machine learning experience, either doing a PhD or working in general, but they are not asking for someone that has been doing quantum algorithms. They are looking for someone that is going to be able to be independent building models in machine learning. for quantum computing. But you see, it's like really it's more about showing that your expertise is can be transferred more than saying what, because if you can show that you have been able to translate very cool algorithms into quantum algorithms, or that you have that experience, yes. But if you are telling me that you have been reading Qiskit and what you have been doing is the Grover's algorithm with 3 qubits, that's not enough. I don't know, Alberto, if you want to complement that.
No, I mean, I totally agree. If I may say something, I mean, I think you are totally right. And if I may say something is that at least what I think is that the way how quantum computing works is much different from classical computing works. So that's why most of the times companies are trying to fit with a PhD or something with quantum, I mean, physics background, because when you, I mean, computer science is always, there are a lot of techies and are very good and they're always testing everything, right? But it's not the same a neural network like a quantum neural network. The approach is completely different. So maybe that's why, I mean, it's because that, so it does not matter whether you have experience 6 months or are you, I mean, as you have just said, Araceli, if you can demonstrate experience from machine learning classical to quantum, then it's fine. But just type a bit in Qiskit Grover or, well, sure, we know to speak about sure, right? But Grover or something, I mean, a quantum phase estimation, it's what you have just said. It's not enough maybe for these kind of things. But
what I tell a lot of people is, you are coming, imagine you're coming from computer science, or you have been working in industry and you would like to go and have the move into quantum. Get more experience, get a job in data science and machine learning, classical, where you start putting quantum little by little. You are not gonna be able to make the jump in 2 months. Maybe, yes, I'm not saying that is impossible. Everything is possible and I changed my career, but I think the things take time. And that's why I think it's better to understand what is the good things that you have already. You have Python, you have Jupyter Notebook. But sometimes, and another example that I have seen is I'm looking right now for very specific and very technical, has nothing to do with quantum. So it's more on the software side. And I don't find those people. I don't find those people because probably those people are already working somewhere else and they don't think that quantum could be for them. So yeah, Robert, I hope that I answer.
Oh, yes. I mean, I brought it up only because I've seen on LinkedIn, and I know there are a lot of younger people that are getting their bachelor's and they're looking to move into the market. And there's so much information that has been presented. And I'll use LinkedIn because that's, which I'm happy. It's great. But for those that are up and coming, or they're even crossing over, let's say they're like, oh, well, I've been doing this, like the software engineering or the data science, for example, as you brought up. But now, it's like, oh, it seems cross transferable. But you have answered the question, though. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad you've it's great. It was just more of like a, presenting the other side of the coin. So, but I won't take up much of your time. I'm sorry.
No.
And thank you, Alberto. I appreciate your input on that too.
Everything is possible, Robert. It's just, yeah, it really depends on the profile. I put, if you want to send us your CV, maybe you have the skills that are needed. We are looking for a lot of people, I can tell you that. So can I go there? And I'm seeing the chat now. So Constantine was asking, is possible to have a remote role? That's the biggest question. I haven't mentioned it. I forgot to mention. Because during the pandemic, obviously, there were a lot of companies that they work remotely and they were hiring remotely. My feeling is in the last 6 months or so, a lot of companies are starting to say, not anymore remote. Maybe the person could start 6 months remote and then the person has to move to wherever they are, mainly in the US. But sometimes if the companies are in countries where, in general, there are countries that maybe they are not the first countries that comes to your mind where you are looking for a job, they are still offering remote roles. So it's possible, but yeah, there are not so many.
Yes, Araceli. Firstly, for the next chat questions, Gopal has raised his hand. Gopal, if you can ask whatever you
Can
want.
you hear me? Can you hear me, Alberto?
Yep, you can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Araceli, thank you so much for a nice talk, giving overview of QC technology and career path. This is
Thank you.
Gopal. I'm calling from Novo Nordisk, a Danish multinational pharma company. My question is about what is the structure of your workshops and training, especially for the commercial. Could you tell us about the structure of for your training
For
portfolio?
companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really depends on where the company is, because there are companies that are fully quantum, like Accenture, but there are some other companies where they are really starting right now. So first is to assess kind of where you are in the past to be quantum, and then we kind of have different solutions for this one. If you are really newcomer, we provide training, but you understand the basics of quantum technologies as a whole. Not going even sometimes really technical, but just an overview. Then, of course, it's more technical and understanding what could be the value of quantum technologies for your sector. It's not the same a bank that a pharma company, obviously. And then really it's about developing the strategy. So we have a specific training for specific sectors where we have this kind of introduction, application, hands-on, and kind of a strategy and trying to work use cases.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, perfect. Now we have a question from Felipe. Thank you much. What do you recommend for a bachelor physics degree with a little background on QCT to go for an introduction job?
If you want a quantum job, probably do a master's and a PhD. if not, if you really want to go to a job, as I mentioned before, I would say try to get a data scientist or job or a machine learning job, a job where you get expertise in managing data and creating models, or managing and designing algorithms, and then you can transfer that into quantum. So I think those are the two routes for you.
Perfect, Araceli. And as of now, well, no, this one. No. Okay, thanks so much. One more question from Aran Kumar is, how can we leverage material research using quantum technologies?
So you, Arun Kumar, I guess you're talking about really like material science research with quantum, right? Or you're talking about, yeah, I think that's the question. So if that's what you're asking, so we have so the way that this is done, that has been done in the last decades, is trying to understand matter at the quantum level using specific experimental setups, right? So you can do that by using quantum simulators, where you kind of take one-to-one your model in material science and try to plug it into a quantum simulator. But you can also try to translate your material science question into a digital algorithm that you can put into a quantum computer. So these are kind of the two routes where you could work on material research. I hope that I answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And how about the language translation? Is it possible to translate from Spanish to English?
Sorry, Arun Kumar, I think I'm a little bit lost what you mean here.
Yes, Arun Kumar, could you repeat the question? Because I also had technical issues and I think we couldn't hear you properly.
Yeah, of course. My question is it possible to translate Spanish to any other languages, particularly Indian languages?
You're talking if there are like algorithms doing this. That's the question.
Using quantum technologies?
So I know people who are working in language processing using quantum computing. That's not my field of expertise, but yes, there is people doing that. There is people even translating music in quantum. So yeah, there are things going on. You can probably try to Google it. So language processing or music quantum algorithms or something like that. And if not, drop me an email. But yeah, there are people doing this kind of things.
Yeah, and if I may add something, sorry,
Yeah.
Araceli, is that last year, and there is in fact, one of the webinars of today's Wednesday, right? Yes, of Monday or last Monday was related to that from Shervin Ledoux, Arun Kumar, that was tackling quantum natural processing, and it was quite nice, to be honest. So I could recommend you to look at this.
Yeah, to this time, I would like to tell you one thing. Actually, before several years ago, this place was called Man Arinde. Later on, it became Madrid, I think so. So I'm a natural language processing researcher doing some research on European languages. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a comment, right? Okay.
Yes, I think so. Okay, so as of now, we have no
I have
more.
a direct message,
Okay,
Alberto. Yeah.
so for you only.
So Mauro is saying, could a person work with quantum computing, studying alone, being self-taught? That's a very good question. So, and I have seen these a lot, and I started like that. I bought a lot of books and I started myself, but I think you will have to complement. So you can, so if you're coming from a bachelor's, you probably could start alone, but doing a master's like the one from the UPN would complement, because I think it's very hard right now. You need so much time, so much time to sit down and think about, and there are a lot of resources and we are doing this, but we are trying to complement. If you are kind of starting from zero alone, I think at one point you probably will need kind of probably you want to show. That's really, I think, the key here is the fact that in most of the roles, if you just show that all what you did was self-taught, it's going to be quite hard as of today that the people from that company are going to hire you, because they want the either the experience, which is hard because this is not a very new market. Either they want the experience or they want the more technical background. I see Constantine put some. Ah, nice. And just for all of you, I actually think it's the first time that I'm going to mention this, but we are preparing a research paper on all the resources available, because we receive the question every week of people saying, where can I find this and that? So we are going to prepare this overview for anyone looking for resources. That I think is a very good first step. And then again, it really depends on the direction. So Mauro, if you have already a career somewhere where you can complement by learning alone quantum, and then you have the package that could be just a fit for the quantum industry, that is possible. But yeah, it has to be the right fit.
Okay, is there any further question that you would like to ask Araceli? Okay, I think we are done. I'm going to stop recording.